Hey, folks, Chris Jardine here, aka Snaggle J, general manager of your TGS Cincinnati Reds, with a middle of August update. I don't know, it's been a hot minute, and I felt like doing an episode today, so that's why we're here. What a what a season this has been. So obviously, the last episode was just me screaming after my top prospect and top player Vince Thompson suffered a season-ending injury, and it's been interesting. We were roughly halfway through the season. We were kicking around the 500 mark, and you look early, right? 2-4 March, then we went 14 and 13, 13 and 14. We haven't really had horrible months. We've had horrible stretches. But we're in August, and we're 11 and 6 in August. We are something like 7 and 3 in our last 10. Last 7 and 3 in our last 10. And with 31 games to go, we're 7 games out of the wild card. Now, I am in no way optimistic that we are going to sneak into the wild card for a few reasons. First of all, we have to jump 4 very good teams to get there in the Marlins, the Phillies, the Monarchs, and the Diamondbacks. That's the first. Sure, you could make up 7 games in a 31 game stretch. It's not the most, it's not common, but it has happened in the history of baseball. But we have to jump 4 very good baseball teams. In, again, the Marlins, the Phillies, the Monarchs, and the Diamondbacks. We have to jump all of them to get in. And we have the Hammers right on our back, the Padres right on our back, 2 more very good baseball teams. It's been an interesting season. Hey, wish I'd had this Pythag record here of the 2 extra wins. That'd be great. But we do have a home leaning schedule. I think this is, we've only played 62 games at home, so we have 19 of our last 31 games are at home. Obviously, 1-run games killing us. 17 and 26 in 1-run games. That's not great. We're doing pretty well against lefties. We have actually a very good lineup against lefties. 24 and 17 against lefties. And again, our righty lineup suffering mostly because of missing Vince Thompson. Definitely not helpful. But you know what? For as disillusioned as I was earlier, we're starting to see where this team does really well and where it's going to struggle, and it's pretty obvious. Obviously, again, having Vince Thompson out for a long period of time, he was having a pretty good season. It wasn't lighting the world on fire by any stretch of imagination, but hitting 256, he had 18 homers. He was at almost 2 wins above replacement in 59 games. So he was doing pretty much what we expected him to do. And hopefully, he's going to come back next year and get over that broken bone in his elbow. We lost Fastnack, our shortstop here, 2 sims ago. Again, he hasn't been great with the bat. He's been an upgrade over Dainzer, though. 228, 281, 273. He's not hitting the world on fire, but 16 for 16 in steals. And he was providing some plus defense at short, pretty much even on the efficiency scale. Had a positive ZR, so you love to see that. And now, just this sim, Jaden Krause will be returning from injury. Again, he has missed the last 30-some games. So he's been out for 5 weeks. With a broken hand, I think it was. Again, the injuries just keep piling up for this guy. But you see, he's had a great season, hitting almost 300. .854 OPS. Already exceeded his previous season's wins above replacement, even though he's only played 98 games. 20 homers. So it'll be nice to have him back in the lineup for the stretch. But yeah, you look at where we've kind of sat, offensively, I mean, we've been pretty good, right? Sixth in runs scored. We're third now in home runs. We've been in the top three pretty much the entire season. Fourth in base running, which is nice. Obviously, we don't care about steals. That's not our thing. Our batting wins above replacement being 11th. But 15.3, I believe, is the highest we will have had in any season since I've been here. So this is my fifth? 28, 29, 30, 31, 30. Yeah. So that'll actually be the highest total. And the pitching side has held 13th in runs against. We have a -8 run differential. The starters ERA, not awful. Bullpen ERA is a little bit worse than I expected. Now, again, you got to remember, we sold some pieces at the deadline. We got rid of Harvey Knopp. We got rid of Potasic. We were selling. Like, we didn't want to get. We got Knopp off the books as an expiring guy. We got Potasic's contract off the books. We were selling, and the team has turned around and does what OOTP does. 14.6 pitching wins above replacement is by far the best I've ever had. I think last year it was like 4. 1,000 strikeouts, even though that's last. Our defensive efficiency is nice as well. So the team's been doing pretty solid. When I look at, the individual performances, we've had some big jumps off the page this year. Again, Jaden Krause has had a great season. He just continues to kind of do this. I mean, obviously the health is a concern, but you have a guy that on an average season, 162 games, is hitting .294 with about 4 wins, 25 homers, 40 doubles. Again, the problem is he's, these nagging little injuries that keep him out for 10, 20, 30 game stretches. That is a concern. But when you have a guy that when he's in there playing, he's capable of hitting, having 200 hits, 40 doubles, 25 homers, that's huge for us. Kind of doing that table setting. Noel Carlson has, we'll do Carlson first. Carlson, he ended up moving to the bottom. Carlson has had a huge breakout season this year. Obviously last season, rookie season, was adjusting to the big leagues. This year, the bat has come alive. His OPS is over 800. He's at 2.5 wins. He has 24 doubles, 22 homers. So he gets a little hot with the bat. We could have a 30-30 guy, but at the very least, I think he's going to hit 25-25, which again, for a second baseman, he's playing shortstop right now because of injury, because Fastnack went out, and of course we traded Brian Dainzer at the deadline because we didn't think we needed him anymore, and but this has been huge. It has been huge to see. I'm just going to look at it on this screen. I think this is probably better. And then we'll just switch this to Major League Baseball. But yeah, Carlson has been huge. You look at 22 homers, 49 extra base hits. He's still striking out almost a quarter of the time, but he's hitting .276, and his weighted runs above average is at just under 11. Plus, he has a .977 fielding percentage and a .996 efficiency. So, for, again, getting that out of a second baseman, huge. I knew TJ Nickerson was capable of great things. The 12th round pick, who we drafted him, and then he decided, you know what, I want to become a slugger. I want to become a premier designated hitter. Man, 39 home runs this year, 90 RBIs. Yes, he's striking out a ton, 180. He's probably going to end up being breaking the single season Reds record. He's 1 home run away from becoming, I think, only the 8th Red all-time to hit 40 home runs, and only the 4th since the live human era. Again, I'd love to see the walks. He does have the 70. I'd love to see the walk rate maybe the 13-14% range in future years. Obviously, again, 11, not terrible, but a -20 here. If this he could get this down to -16, -17, that would be huge. But again, for a guy who has no protection from Vince Thompson anymore, has just absolutely just hit the piss out of the baseball. And especially, he's been pretty consistent. 7, 10, 10, 7. He has 5 so far in August. He had 3, I think, last sim. He's hitting 292 in August. So TJ Nickerson has been a huge addition to this team. And again, rookie. Speaking of rookies, we finally gave Dylan Lugo a chance this year. He has a really weird profile. And again, not that anybody looks at overalls, but I know there are people who use overalls in their views. And while the overall doesn't determine much other than kind of historical performance, and give you some indicator of potential on a guy, this would turn some people off. And I'll admit, I've looked at these overalls. I'm like, oh man, this guy's nothing special. And he didn't get a whole lot of at bats last year, and when he did, he wasn't great. But he tore it up in the spring, and we decided to give him a shot. And man, I mean, he's only got 234 at bats. He has 17 doubles, 2 triples, 16 homers, 43 RBIs. He's OPS in 857, which again, for as a first baseman, probably not ideal long term. You look at his splits. I mean, he is OPS in 873 against righties, where he's again, he only has 21 at bats against lefties this year. So, you look at him against righties. I mean, he's been great. We had to send him down there for a little bit just due to roster crunch and out of options guys and trying to keep the FI guys from being exposed to waivers. But once we were able to make some moves, again, for a guy who's only got 234 at bats, 9.2 weighted runs above average, and 1.2 wins above replacement, again, he's done an admirable job stepping in and hitting the baseball. 547 slugging percentage on the year. I love that. Andres Figueroa, another rookie, sitting at 7.6 weighted runs above average. He has had a very, very nice first season for us. He has 19 doubles, 21 homers, so he's going to be another 20-20 guy. Again, potentially a 25-25 guy. 66 RBIs. The walk rate is low. Again, probably not going to be something we're going to see him really push much higher. The average is there, right? 294, 322, 458 with the slug. So he's OPS in 780. Again, that walk rate not helping. He's at 2.5 wins. He is a better against lefties guy. I mean, look at what he's doing against lefties. 357 with a 992 OPS against lefties. In 168 at bats, he has more home runs. Again, he has 2 times and a bit more at bats against lefties, or against righties, but he actually has more home runs against lefties. So and you can see he's going to decimate left-handed pitching. So again, Figueroa has been great, and when you look at the fielding stats, a 9.9 ZR in right field with a 1047 efficiency. So he's been absolutely dynamite in the field as well. So again, a great rookie season there. Man, there's so many good rookies in the National League this year, and I mean, we've got 3 of them just right there of guys who have had really good seasons. We're not using Mickey Drobny a whole lot. Another guy who has come on as of late, and this is a guy we've been waiting, Cristobal Mendoza, who is one of those pieces from the Calvin Rentmeister, the first trade we made with the Cubs way back after I just got in the league. He has come up and he has done some things. He really forced my hand. After, in 305 ABs in Double A, he hit 361 with a 945 OPS, had 11 homers and 23 doubles. He really forced my hand. I think poor fielding was kind of keeping him down. He's obviously not great defensively, 45, 50-50, that's not great. You'd like to see better, but man, that bat really didn't have much choice, and it's been kind of worth it. He's slashing 287, 345, 436 for a 781 OPS. He's got 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 4 doubles. He started kind of slow. He's at 101 at bats now. He's obviously providing positive value. Time will tell if he can find himself a spot in the lineup again in a Vince Thompson world. Does Cristobal Mendoza have a path to at bats? Obviously, a very nice profile against righties. And again, righties is something we've struggled against this year. So is there a path to get Cristobal Mendoza more at bats in 2033? We'll see. Siedzinski's only on the team because McCafferty's hurt. Dex Pape's been a guy who, when he's been out there, he's been great. He has accumulated 163 at bats this year. He does have 3 homers, 14 extra base hits. He's hitting 301, which is great. Right around even in terms of weighted runs above average. Pape's a guy who, we picked him up on waivers last year. And he did really good for us down the stretch in 209 at bats. Obviously, this year he's kind of split his time from the big club and the lower club. But you look at, he's performed admirably. He keeps finding himself in at bats. He's pretty good on the defensive end as well. So yeah, he's a guy that we kind of keep running. And again, where we've struggled against righties, he's nice to have in there if a guy needs a break. Another couple of guys that I wanted to just highlight. Rafael Vezina is a guy that we called up middle of the season once Everett Ledford went down with an injury and then lost 10 outfield range, which basically screwed me for having a center fielder. So obviously, very nice defensive profile here for Vezina. He has been, he's actually a negative ZR player. His efficiency is just under 1,000. But the bat has started to come alive. You can see early on, and again, I think he got called up about June, so you can see he was really struggling. But in August, he's actually hitting 379 with a 913 OPS in August. So across the entire season, he's hitting 266 with a 699 OPS. He does have 12 doubles, couple of triples, 5 homers. So again, for a bottom third of the order guy, he's been really good. He recently just popped this extra 5 gap as well, which I don't think gets reflected here. But he recently just went from 70 to 75 gap as well, so hopefully that'll help him find the gap a little more frequently. He's got some good speed as well. So again, a role player kind of guy that, is solid center fielder piece. I don't remember what trade. We got him in a trade with this was the David Harding trade, right? We gave him Harding and $350K, and we got Vezina back. So a very solid deal there. And last but not least is JT Grishaber, who last season came up and set the world on fire. This season, the bat has cooled. He's battled through several day-to-day injuries this season. Blurred vision for 2 weeks, back spasms for a week. He's on a bruised foot day-to-day now. So he has battled the elements this season. So again, you can see, obviously, he has not been able to replicate his debut, but he's 206, 285, 358. He does have 12 homers and 36 RBIs. Again, the K rate is up. The walk rate is up, which is nice as well. He's still good enough for a positive in the wins above replacement column at 1.3. And he does do a great job on the fielding end. So you can see he's got a 994 fielding position, 986 efficiency. He doesn't throw out a lot of runners because his arm rating is only 40, but he does have 6.5 framing runs, which is great. So I love having Grishaber. So the big thing for me, and without going too far down the rabbit hole, is all of the key guys in here are back, right? Everybody in here is controllable, back. Thompson will be back. Fastnack will be back. So, offensively, the core is set. Obviously, there's going to be room to upgrade. We might look at what we want to do at first base. We might look at what we want to do defensively. Where does Cristobal Mendoza fit in? But realistically, we have a team that without one of our best offensive players is in the top half of runs scored, is in the top 3 in home runs, top half of all of these, OPS, weighted on base, offensively we're set. Then you get into, where things have been kind of helter-skelter this year, which is on the pitching side. We'll sort by wins above replacement. We've gotten our money's worth from Alberto Guardiola. He has 6-6 with 5 saves. He has a 26-12 shutdown to meltdown ratio, and in 76 innings, has 110 Ks, which is good for 13 Ks per 9. He leads the team in wins above replacement at 2.4. Again, when you're paying a guy $18 million, this is what you expect to get. And again, Guardiola has been every bit of what I have wanted and needed in the bullpen, which is a guy who can shut down the opposing team when needed. He's got a 35% K percentage, which is huge. He's had a couple of squirrely ones. Again, the 23.1 inherited runners scoring, obviously we'd like to see that a little bit lower, but it is what it is. Newland Boyle, who had a great season last year when we were brutal, has had a pretty good season as well this year. Again, he's above 2 wins above replacement. He's 8-7 with a 4.50 ERA. Again, he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but he's got that average down under 300. He's shaved off some of the whip. He's keeping the homers down a bit. Obviously, the hits per 9 down. A hit per 9 is great. The Ks per 9 is the same. His BABIP is down. So again, everything, K percentage is up. Walk percentage is pretty much even. Everything is pointing in the right direction. His ground out percentage is ticking up a bit. His ERA plus going up. His FIP going down. So great sophomore season from a guy who can go out there and eat innings. Again, he's thrown 134 of them so far. He's probably going to finish in the 160 range, hopefully 150, 160 for sure. He's been a very, very good piece for us. The last couple seasons, again, obviously you'd love to see the ground out percentage for a guy with 75 movement be a fair bit higher than that, but it is what it is. Jonas Guzman might be our most valuable player on the pitching side. Now, this is another guy we got in the Rentmeister deal, and he has struggled to find his place. You can see, and if I put all levels combined here, he has been really good in the minors. Look, AA, he was great. AA, he was great. AA, he moved up to AAA, he was great. He comes to the big leagues, he sucks. Goes back down to AAA, lights the world on fire. Comes back up to the big leagues, and he sucks. So he's been that guy who just can't figure out the big league level. Well, holy hell, have we found his role this year, because we have settled him. And yes, he's made 8 starts, mostly due to injury necessity or because it was a perfect matchup for him. But as a long man, he's appeared in 56 games total with a 2.59 ERA, 14 shutdowns, 6 meltdowns. He's thrown 90 innings. He's given up 87 hits, 70 strikeouts. So again, he's got a 120 whip, which is far better than at any point he's had. Obviously, this doesn't count, but he's exceeded his whip from pretty much every level. His BABIP is not atrociously low. It's above 300. Obviously, again, it's trending better than he has, but he's at 2 wins above replacement for a guy who is our long man. What a great season he's had. Just a fantastic piece added to that bullpen. He, again, just has found his home. Ken Jacobson has had a nice bounce back season after his horrendous first season with the team. It will be interesting to see. Jacobson has an opt-out of his last 2 years, so he is contracted for 2 more years at $20 million a year. But he does have an opt-out. I tend to think he's probably going to exercise that, but we'll see. 143 strikeouts in 148 innings, which is good for 8.7 Ks per 9. His average is 214. His BABIP is excruciatingly low at a 240. 111 whip. He's had just a really good season. Rylan San Juan has come up here and had a really good season as well, especially as of late. 63 and 2/3 innings. He's at 1.1 wins above replacement. Pitching to a 3.39 ERA so far. A lot of these other guys, I don't want to highlight too many of them. James Gaspard just getting back after being out for 5 months due to a bone spur in his elbow. He made a couple of starts in AAA on a rehab assignment, looked good. So we've got a little bit of reinforcement there for the stretch. all in all, I'm actually, I know a lot of these are crooked numbers and double digits, but I'm actually really impressed with some of the improvements we made on the on the pitching side. The bullpen's been better. I know the ERA doesn't show that, but one of the things we needed to improve, even though we are dead last in strikeouts, this is trending better than we were last year. Um, so all in all, I'm feeling pretty good. Um, there's a long way for us to go here. Um, obviously, we're going to end up being a team that we're going to most likely miss the playoffs in the 12 to 14, 14th overall range. But realistically, when you look at what we have going and where the team is at and where the holes are, um, you know, we have a lot of money we can get off the books. If Jacobson stays, that's great. If he continues to pitch like this, I mean, he's well worth the $20 million. If he doesn't, we'll reinvest that money. We have our entire offense pretty much ready to go. Anything there that we decide to upgrade will be mostly optional. And we have some higher ARB expected numbers for guys that we can likely move on from. So guys like Zacone, for example, we could probably move on from that. We could probably reject Matson's team option. We'll see. Mickey Drobny's a guy that we're definitely not going to be exercising this. Kieran Allman, while he has been a long tenured, guy who has thrown, we're looking at batting stats. He's got 263 games in now, in his career, 247 of them with us. It's beginning to become time that we moved on. The one reason we keep hanging on to him is because he's very pop. But probably a guy we're going to be, looking to move on from. Everett Ledford, another guy who's probably, especially now that his range has dropped from 70 to 60, probably a guy that we're going to move on from. We've got Champion coming off the books. We've got these retentions coming off the books. So we're going to be in a pretty decent financial situation. And where you can see down here where the challenge is going to come from is when you start looking at where our financial situation goes. The downside becomes when the Krauses and the Nickersons and the Thompsons and the Figueroas and the Carlsons and the Grishabers and the Vizinas all become ARB eligible. So we're in kind of the window. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, with 5 sims to go in the regular season. Like I said, I'm not getting my hopes up, but I do like the fact that the team has not just completely done what they did in 2031, which is fold like a tent and just lay down for everybody. We've got some really tough teams coming on the schedule. Obviously, this sim with Philadelphia and Colorado, and then Kansas City immediately after that. Wow. We've got the Diamondbacks, a 4-pack with the Cubs. That's a huge series right there. We've got the top NL teams on the schedule here, so it's going to be a really hard battle. I would say at this point, sitting 63 and 68 with 5 sims to go, I would say, I would be happy if we got to 80 wins. Again, that's going 17 and 14. That's going to be that would be, I think, a huge win for us to get to 80. I think realistically, we're probably looking at 75 to 77 wins, just based on how tough our schedule is going down the stretch here. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We will be back at the season end to see how we did. So until next time, keep swinging for the fences.